I didn't appreciate your post the other day about the world wars and children these days on your Facebook there.
What did I post?
On the book face?
I don't remember what I posted.
Something about how I'm older than
yes.
dirt.
yeah.
Thanks.
You are
I
older than
appreciate
dirt.
that.
So yes, the post, dude. I thought it was. There was no way when I read that statistic. I'm like, nope, that's not true. And I did the math. Yeah, took my shoes off. If you're my
let's get
age,
this going. This is shut that door.
It's recording. I almost guarantee it.
Okay.
So I'm 40 years old, and if you're my age or older, your birthday is closer to World War II than somebody being born today will be to your birthday.
Yeah, I was.
It doesn't World War II seem it's a really long time ago, right?
Like I've been slaying Germans on the computer since I was like
since you were a kid.
Yeah.
So the best part is, and I think that they actually kind of listen to this podcast. My wife's aunt commented on there, oh gee, thanks for pointing that out. And what I did not comment back was, because she's a generation older, I said, I wanted to say, actually, you're closer to World War I.
I showed my wife, and then I think a few of you guys know Tyler Bishop, and Tyler responded back, yeah, that may be true, but I'll never be as old as Kristen.
She's like 2 years older than you, right?
Yeah, she's 2 years older than me, and she is, I don't know, maybe 6 months older than Bishop.
So that's all that matters.
Oh, man.
I am 1 year and 3 months older than my wife, and she makes sure to point out I am an old man.
Yeah. No, I'll always be young blood or whatever.
She's robbing that cradle. That's right.
So we're definitely breaking the first rule. One of the first rules that my mama always taught me was you don't bring up the age of a woman. And here I am within the first 30 seconds.
So anyways,
airing some laundry of my
wife is old. I tell my wife all the time, because I'm old, she obviously is old too, but she's 21 going on.
I'm only 13, so if that puts it into perspective.
If we're going by mental.
Here we go.
I mean, come on. I will 100% admit I have the mental thoughts of a 13.
You hand me a magnifying glass. I'm pretty sure me and my boy would go out and find some ants.
You're going to find some ants to burn. Absolutely. Yeah. I thought maybe this was going the other way. You hand me a magnifying glass, I'll be able to read everything again. That's a thing that I'm not enjoying about my 40s. My eyesight is starting to go. So let's just jump into it. I'm going to introduce to the camera, even though a lot of people just kind of listen to this in their car. This is Marc Pujo. Marc, say hi to the listeners.
Good evening.
Marc, we're going to wrap up, or not we're going to wrap up. We're going to speed up the podcast production. We've been on hiatus for, gosh, it's been 6 weeks.
Christmas.
8 weeks. Yeah, it's been Christmas.
It was only a month and a half ago. Christmas.
And one of the big reasons for that, it's my fault, it's 100% my fault, is when we started the podcast, it was Dave and I's kind of idea. And we said, well, Dave and I will be the hosts, and every once in a while we'll have a guest, or maybe Adam will come in and be a guest host. And in my mind, I had told myself I needed to be involved in every single episode. And I just can't do that. Anybody that knows me on a personal level knows I'm difficult to get a hold of on the phone because I'm so busy and I'm running all over the place like a chicken with my head cut off.
All I hear is a bunch of excuses.
Right. And I'm ADD. And speaking of phone, I'll turn that on vibrate. I'm ADD. So it's difficult to pin me down to a spot. And I relinquished that control. In fact, as it was at SHOT Show, I was talking to a friend of mine. I talked to you when we got back. And
we talked there. I was like, I think it was one of my late evenings.
Yep.
I was just like, hey man, if you're going to do this, you need to do it. Otherwise, you might as well just get some use out of this room, because otherwise it's just kind of a waste of your time and money.
And I had been thinking about it. I've been mulling it over for a while. So Marc has agreed to be a host. We've got 4 people here that will be a host, and it really works out with 2 guys in here just BSing. And every once in a while we'll have a guest, but that means I don't have to be here every week. So
exactly.
That's the goal. Marc.
He's managing us.
Marc is a like-minded individual. For those of you that don't know him, we get a lot of local views on this. But for those of you that don't know, or if you're watching this on the YouTubes, Marc is he's a homesteader. Like that mindset, Marc. It goes back to the conversation we were having just 5 minutes ago. I said we can't have this conversation. We got to record it. Marc could live on his own for a year. Like he could survive if you just told him he wasn't allowed to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to call that a homesteader, right? I'm not a prepper.
There's a lot of like insinuations that come with homesteader, and I don't know if I like all of the ideas of being labeled like that. I just like the idea that I am what's the word?
Are you afraid people are going to think you were homeschooled?
Oh, well, everybody in the county already knows that.
He's a homesteader. Dude must have been homeschooled.
No. I think, so recently I've noticed, and I didn't know we were going down this road right away, but I've noticed that there's a lot of, we all are on Instagram and everything, and like, I feel like when you put that label to it, automatically I need to be barefoot and kind of crunchy hair,
bib overalls.
Like to the point, like, can I boil my own water and survive for 2 weeks? Yes, I have done that, and yes, I can do it. Do I choose to live like that in my current state? No, I do not. No, so therefore, I'm not a homesteader.
Actually, that's a great point, because you're right. As soon as I see homesteader on like the YouTube channels of the people that do that, I immediately picture these people don't have air conditioning. Like they don't have central air, right? They're not going to the grocery store.
I even like the big water totes. I picture a water tote on your roof, painted black, so you might get it up to about 100 degrees maybe on a sunny day in July, but that's your water supply, and that's what you're having your wife and your kids bathe in once every week and a half.
That's a great point, because that's exactly what I picture when I say homesteader. I also don't want to say prepper.
I like to just be self-sufficient.
There, that's the word.
Is how I kind of look at it.
That's your new Cross Trifles business card. Marc Pujo, self-sufficient. No, because I tell people, and I make the joke here, I'm not a prepper. But I know a lot of people that would argue with me about that if they knew how much food, guns, and ammo I have, right? But I don't have a train car buried in my backyard as a bunker, and that's what I picture when you say prepper. I picture a guy that
I think you got to pick the terminology in your language very carefully in this day and age. Like back in the day, if I'm an NRA member, and if I say NRA, immediately, and still to this day, I think for some people, they immediately, and this will age me, but you remember the Michigan militia? Like when it was like in the front and center of everybody.
It wasn't just a joke meme that people talked about.
There's still a Michigan militia, and I'm not saying good or bad.
For those that don't know, the Michigan line is like 6 miles from here. So we are very well aware of the Michigan militia,
but
right?
If you said, I'm an NRA member, immediately the lay public, and I'm not saying dumb, I'm saying just I'm not even uneducated, just not in that world, the lay public immediately would look at me and figure I was running around in forest camo out back with my 2-year-old son strapped to my back, shooting AK-47s just in case I needed to take care of the big bad government. So I think that
they're not wrong. We are doing all of that, but we don't want them to picture that. No, that's a joke. You're right. You picture the dude that's wearing his old Vietnam jacket, right? And he shouldn't. And the name tag's torn off now, or maybe he bought some stuff at the Army surplus store, or you say NRA, and I picture what my grandpa looked like in the 80s when I was growing up. My grandpa, a super blue collar farmer, and, straight build trucker hat, not ironic like it is today. It was just
that's what
wore.
It was. Yeah.
And that jacket, and you know what I mean? The button up, it had the snaps,
with the little,
it had like the tight, it had a
satin
logo. Yep. I picture that.
They've come a long way.
They've come a long way.
We can have a discussion about that some other time.
We are card-carrying NRA members, and not afraid to admit that to somebody. And we are normal people with, central air and like regular vehicles and normal jobs.
And I think that's why you just got to be careful with how you word things. You know, prepper, sure. But I think self-sufficient is a little bit better way.
I'm prepared.
Yeah. So,
so that's one of the things that I actually wanted to talk about today.
And it's odd because I've had a lot of people come up to me and ask me about some of the stuff I do. And I don't think it's weird or out of, I don't know. I just feel like
this is normal.
Yeah. Like, so the kind of on the farthest edge fringe that I think of prepping is I really like to forage for mushrooms, which I don't know. I lived over in southwestern Pennsylvania for, I don't know, 3-4 years, maybe not even that, 2 years. And while I was there, I learned my mushrooms. And I love mushrooms. And I'm not just talking about like the morel mushrooms.
Right. You're talking,
Side note, am I supposed to be looking right at that or
both.
you? Or?
I do both.
Okay.
So most people don't watch. That's not true. It's about 50-50.
Yeah.
50% of these people are going to be listening in their car on their drive home.
Okay.
And they're going to, and it's going to be a 20-minute drive. So they're going to get 2 drives out of this. The other 50% catch us on YouTube.
Just flash a look. I'm going to just have the conversation, keep having the conversation we're having then.
But you look for like actual mushrooms.
Yeah. Like chicken of the woods.
And I bet you 5% of people
chanterelles or I call them chanterelles. They're chanterelles or whatever. Anyways, those are my favorite. They're in August, late July, August mushroom. They're neon orange. And if you eat them, they're, for me, the best mushroom out there, wild, that I've partook of. The thing is, with chanterelles, you have to be really, really careful because they are almost a cloned image of what is called jack-o'-lantern. And jack-o'-lantern will darn near kill you.
Yeah.
It'll shut your, I think it shuts down your kidneys and everything. Don't quote me on all this. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, we're not teaching anybody how to forage.
I'm a jack of all trades and master of none. So I know a lot about a lot of stuff. Not a lot. I guess I've kind of messed that one up. I know a fair amount about a lot, but I'm not like I wouldn't call myself like expert on a lot. There's a few things I'll be like, yeah, I'm the man. On mushrooms, I'm just kind of dabble. But anyways.
Well, that's why when I say you're a like-minded person, that's everybody here.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. The majority of employees here at Cross Rifles is who I'm around all the time. I see you weekly. We know enough about a lot of things to get by.
Yeah.
And that's why you fit as a host, and that's why you fit in here at the shop.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, you're right. Mushrooms. Foraging for mushrooms.
Yeah. If you ever decide you want to go look for chanterelles, if you're in the area, I can show you. But you have to take like a blood oath before I show you where some of my patches are because it takes like the special summer. You got to have, and last year was a pretty good one. The year before was amazing. 2 years ago was like the best mushroom summer we've had in Northwestern Ohio in a long time for chanterelles specifically. If it's too dry, they don't bloom. You know, they don't have the fruiting structure. It's a fungus. I mean, that's, if you look into the fungus terminology, you're eating the fruiting structure. And anyways, if it's not wet enough and humid enough, it's really hard to find them. They just don't do well.
So I don't know much about mushrooms because although I am a fun guy, I don't eat fun guy. Brendan Moore just groaned in his truck listening to this. Brendan just went, oh my God.
And Brendan, you're right. I shouldn't have done this.
No, but it goes back to, you're right. The average layperson, knowing that you know how to do that is picturing that homesteader guy that we were talking about.
I'm convinced that my parents and my brother, and I'm sure they'll listen to this someday, but like I'm convinced, actually my wife and I had a huge discussion about this yesterday about some extraneous situations that were going on, you know, good old family stuff. But I am convinced that my parents and my brother and my sister-in-law and most of my extended family believe that all I do is drive an old rusty truck, which I don't own. I don't own a rusty truck.
Right.
All I do is do that throw my empty Busch Light cans in the back of the truck and just run around burning coal up and down Main Street in, maybe not Bryan, but like Stryker or Pioneer.
Yeah, the smaller
just
towns.
give it, like when you see the generalized hillbilly redneck on in Hollywood, the ones that like the guys, this is perfect. I think most of my family sees me as the guys at the beginning of Christmas Vacation that Chevy Chase gets run off the road up by. That's what they see me as. And I'm not that guy.
Right. You actually know how to use a computer. You've usually got like 2 or 3 on you, right? Like it comes along with the territory in this industry. Let me ask you this. You said that it's come up a little bit more often, and mushrooms and some conversations that you've had and things. How more often in the last year have you been having this conversation, though, where people ask your opinion on how to stay alive?
Quite a bit. I've had a couple people approach me. They wanted to like monetize what I do, which, whatever. I mean, it's been interesting. Like they want me to do podcast, which I was open to. I just didn't want to drop $2,500 just on the equipment.
$5,000 in here, and that's not counting all the fancy stuff we have hanging on the wall just to look cool.
I mean, I've got my Instagram. Yeah, like I got my Instagram. I don't have very many followers. The people that follow me, like it's a good follow.
Yeah.
It's a good follow. It's you really should check out. And I'm going to forget it now. You put me on the spot. My Instagram is in the world.
I would tell them, but I don't have you on Instagram.
Well, where's my phone even?
It's gone.
Gosh.
But it's the same thing I've been getting is people
the outdoor aficionado.
Is that what it is?
Yes, it is. It took me a second. I had like completely blanked because I'm on it. I say I post probably 2 to 3 times a week, but the outdoor aficionado, and like, yeah, it's interesting.
But you do lead an interesting life. All of us here do. That's why we can sit and talk for an hour and just talk about things. Before you came in, I was telling Dave to set up the studio. Dave's our techie guy. Like he's all the things, the $5,000 under this table, that's all him.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to him, I don't remember how it even came up. I was talking to Todd and Dave in the gunsmith room about bees. And I'm gonna play into the stereotype that people are gonna have about homesteading, but you raise bees.
Yeah, I do.
You have a lot of them
for this area.
Yep. And Dave immediately goes, "That's awesome. I want to see it." Like we are all very interested in that. And I've told you the same thing. It intrigues me. I don't want bees.
Yeah.
I don't want chickens. But I'm intrigued.
Nobody wants chickens.
Well, with the cost of eggs.
I've grown up on a farm for how old? I'm in my 30s. Yeah.
I like that.
That way my wife can still be in her 30s, right?
Yes. And your wife is older. That's all we know.
Yeah, she's in her 30s. Anyways, no one wants chickens. They're just, unless you can, there's a very small window. Like people get them and they're like, they're easy. They are pretty easy. They're fun. They're a bird. Like if you want to have fun with a bird here in Williams County, go down to the country store.
Go to Town and Country.
Over next to the Wendy's and say hello a couple times. Get your bird fix.
Yes.
Chickens are just meat. There's differences, as you know.
Yeah.
You got your layers and you got your meat birds. Meat birds are the worst.
And you're a meat bird guy.
I have both.
Yeah.
Still have.
Yeah.
Well, the meat birds don't last very long.
No. I don't.
I'm sure we'll have an episode, but like meat birds are like 6 to 8 weeks in and out. You're done.
I don't know if you know this, but they sell those at the grocery store. And I don't have to like feed it or keep it alive.
That's the thing. This is where you get into the
I know
tin foil stuff.
I know all about it.
I do. So we process our own pork. We process our own lamb. We process our own poultry. I'm a fairly avid hunter, so we process everything that is harvested by my hands I mean, for the most part, ends up in our freezer.
Yeah, you don't
my
have
family.
to buy a whole lot of meat.
No,
is what you're getting at.
Yeah. Well, the thing
every once in a while you're buying a beef steak here and there, but you're buying beef probably still by the quarter or half from a local farmer.
I'm actually, you got me there. Like I get it from local butchers, but I mean, beef for us, legitimately, if I have beef outside of, I travel a lot with my work, so I might have McDonald's. I'll eat that. You have to.
Or I'm going to use air quotes for everybody that's not watching beef.
Yeah.
Right.
Whatever.
But I get it.
Whatever that is. But actually buying beef at our household in the last year put me on the spot. I think I've bought 4 steaks.
So when you cook steaks, is it almost always venison steak?
No, when I buy?
No, when you cook steaks. You're going to fire the grill up.
If we're having steaks and stuff, it's always like we harvest enough venison that my dogs are all on like a wet natural diet. So they get kind of the bottom end of the venison. But like all my venison steaks are loin or the inner tenderloin. If for those of you that hunt, you know what it is. And also if you're donating deer, or if you are taking deer to a processor, pull the tenderloins out, because those are the things that disappear.
And if you're donating, I'm actually going to give you a quick plug right now because I wanted to talk about it during this episode. You are somewhat involved. And in one of the key reasons that we have it here in Northwest Ohio, what's the exact name of the organization? Because I always mess it up.
It's Farmers and Hunters Feeding the Hungry.
Okay. I always say hunters. I forget the farmers.
Yeah, part. I do too. A lot of times I'll switch it and it's hunters and farmers. But either way, I mean, what do you want to know?
Well, so the quick plug is you had mentioned if you're donating your deer, and people enjoy the thrill of the hunt. In fact, I'd say that's probably more people nowadays than just have to fill their freezer.
Yeah.
And also because we've got corn-fed whitetail here in Ohio, our limits are going up every year, and you don't need that much to fill your freezer for a family of 3 or 4.
And a lot of it. Well, let me start from the beginning then.
Yes.
If you want a full rundown.
So I don't want to 100% full right now because I actually want to talk about it on a different episode.
Okay.
But I can go shoot a deer, and I can
harvest is the word we're looking for. Harvest.
Well, I'm going to shoot it because I'm not using a spear. I could go harvest a deer, and it could be my 3rd one for the year. And I could say, well, my freezer's full. And I legitimately do not have freezer space, but I enjoy the hunt. I also want to control the population because they are a pest here in Northwest Ohio. I can donate that to this organization that you're involved with.
Yeah. So
how?
Well, here's how you do it. Farmers and Hunters Feeding the Hungry. All you got to do is, and we've only got till Sunday, I think. I think the season goes out Sunday, but we've already secured funding for next year, so this is gonna be a thing. You can take it over to Jonas Swartz over on, I believe it's M50, M75.
Amish guy in Eden.
Yep, up by Eden. Basically, just get a hold of me, and I'm gonna help you out. You donate it, and in a week and a half, it gets donated out to a whole bunch of different churches here in the area. We actually had a muzzleloader hunt that a couple of us put on. We harvested 11 deer in a day, and I kind of grabbed on when you talked to me this about 6 months ago. And really looked at the importance of this. Yeah.
And you're going to feed 22 families with 11 deer. I mean, not all year long, and it's all ground.
Yep.
Which goes back to, hey, take the loin, right? Because they don't need it.
Not the loin. If you take the loin when you do the donation, that kind of hurts us on weight. I'm talking about the primo, right inside. Nobody knows where it's at. Like sometimes I've actually seen processors throw it out. Like it's sacrilegious, and I cringe, but I've seen it. but anyways, getting back to the donation part, like last muzzleloader hunt, out of those 11, 7 were donated, and it was last Thursday or Friday. I went and picked it up and delivered it to the different food pantries, and like they've got people that need help. Like it's not just, oh, can you use a deer? And like in my circles, like I had people I could give deer to, but like I was always worried that maybe they just kind of languished in the freezer. And I harvest deer for 2 reasons. I harvest it because my family lives off of it predominantly.
Right.
And the second is for management. My background is wildlife management. Ohio State, have a bachelor's in wildlife sciences. Like, I eat, breathe, live the management lifestyle. And to me, if getting kind of in the weeds here, we can always talk about a different podcast, but like, there are certain population inflections that once you cross over them, as far as getting too many of any animal or anything, it becomes a really hard situation for the habitat. And it also becomes a very hard situation to get that population back in check.
It's hard to recover.
So this is a way for me to, once I have taken enough for my family, I can still manage and not waste, because hunters are not these bloodthirsty, terrible people that a lot of Hollywood and the news tries to make us out for.
And this isn't your typical podcast that everybody's listening to. They know that we own a gun shop, and so you're getting the average person. But every once in a while, 1 out of 10 of these people listening are probably still have that thought about hunters.
Yeah,
and that's not the case.
Yeah,
because we deal with them every day here in the shop, and we help people get the equipment that they need. And again, growing up in a farm community, on a farm myself, there's purposes. It's not just some dude down in Columbus that goes, this year I think I'm going to let everybody shoot 3. Yeah. Right? There's like extreme science.
Oh yeah, here in Ohio, like they take a yearly survey reported back by the hunters. Excuse me, based off of our hunting licenses. And they start looking at deer strikes or deer that have been hit by cars, and they manage based off of those numbers that they receive back. So we have areas in Ohio, I think there's 2 deer, 3 deer, and 4 deer areas right now. And you can go county to county. You can only shoot 6 deer in Ohio legally, but you have to bounce around counties in those areas. Either way, what I was getting at is, like, hunters as a whole, like, we're not like out there just slaying. So like, I'm not going to go out, as much as I love to hunt deer. If I don't have a place for one, I'm not going to go just put a hole in one and walk away. Like, that is wrong to me.
I can go in the woods and do plenty of things, and I don't hunt. So this is coming from most of the people that know me personally. No, I'm not a big hunter. My joke is that, they sell meat at the grocery store. Yeah. I'm also the guy that I kind of prepper-ish. I'm prepared. So I have a lot of meat set aside, not just in the freezer and other places, but I know how to hunt. Yeah. Like, I've done it most of the beginning part of my life. One of the reasons I don't do it now is because it's not a priority. I don't make the time.
It's time. I mean, everybody has their priorities.
But I love going to the woods.
Yep.
And I'm not going to go to the woods just to put a hole in the deer. If I'm going to go hunting, it's going in the freezer or going to a family and meat.
And the thing that I like about, the reason I tried to spearhead this was, I have a lot of friends who are in the same boat. Like, a lot of families, 1 deer is enough for the year. That's it. So you have, Marc Pujo has a normal family, shoots his 1 deer a year.
Is that what you think?
He's in. What's that? That's not me. We'll use it. Insert name.
Marc Pujo has a normal family. No, yes.
Oh, okay.
Your family's great. I love them.
Okay. If anybody's weird, it's me. My family's normal.
That's
My
true.
family's normal.
Your family is normal. Yeah.
So, but once your normal average hunter harvests that first deer, most of them are done regardless. Yeah. But then there's this second group that, if they had the opportunity to harvest another one, they would, but they're not going to just go out and inflict damage on an animal.
I'd say that's a large majority of hunters.
Yeah.
People that we have in here. And I can't reiterate enough, we're a blue collar community, and I'm a blue collar gun shop. The amount of people I know that hunt to put meat in their freezer is past 90%.
Yeah. And there's a respect.
But then when the freezer's full, you're right, they're not going to get more.
Exactly. And there's that respect, as there should be for a wild animal. And, by having hunters feeding the hungry, there is an opportunity. Like, we're already hooked up with a whole bunch of churches here. We're anything that our county, which we have 45,000 people in this county,
give or take.
So I'm pretty sure we can handle 25 to 50 deer pretty easily that are donated. But if we would have a surplus, we have a outlet in Toledo, Cherry Street Mission. We'll just take every deer that Williams County has and feed some people that really, really need it. So
actual people that are going hungry.
Yeah.
Now this is it is a nationwide program.
This is,
and it's a nonprofit.
It is.
Like it hits all of the things that you would want. So if you, because we get about 30% of our viewership or listening-ship is outside of our Williams County circle. If you're hearing this and you do hunt and you're somewhere, look into your local farmers and hunters feeding the hungry. And the farmers part is, and I don't think you're 100% set up for it here quite yet, but you can also, if you've got a farmer that's got an animal and you want to donate, you can do that as well.
And we are set up, say somebody in the county, or it doesn't have to be the county, the area wanted to donate a steer or a heifer or whatever. Like, I can do it. I just didn't put it on the website because there's a lot of steps. You can't just, so with the deer, we're set up here over in Eden. We soon are going to be set up with Pettysville Meats, only the butler. And I got to get that one handled. It should be taken care of by the next season. And then I just got hooked up today. Actually, I'm coming from a meeting from St. Mary's Meats, which is an Assumption, and they're on board 100%. But the issue is you can dump a deer off at any of those places, and it's no problem. Like, they're ready.
You can't just
show up with a steer and be like, hey, I know that there's a 10 to 12 month wait period for your normal customers, but here's my donation.
Right.
You're welcome. Right. No, we can do it. We just have to set up, it's going to take some planning and getting a spot in line. And then once everything's ready, then we can take that donation.
So that's actually, of course, my phone would ring. I've been waiting a phone call for this guy. He's probably listened to the podcast, so he'll hear this like 3 days from now. I've been waiting for a call from him for about a week. And when I call him back, he won't answer. That's how our schedule is.
It's like you and I.
It's 100%. So he runs his own business as well, and I know he's just slammed. But that's a great segue to go back to people don't know. It's amazing. People don't know that the meat world blew up in the last 2 years.
Yeah, 2020 was nuts. I almost actually started a meat market.
I'm not sure. Yeah, we had talked.
There's that much. I'm glad that they got it going up in Pioneer.
Yeah, I hear really good things about that place.
Yeah,
I have not stopped in.
It's Fact. I think Fact was on it, right?
Yeah. So we've always bought, even growing up, we've always just bought from a local farmer, had it processed, either a half or a quarter, or, if it was a big year when we were teenagers, they'd buy a full. But a lot of people don't know that has gotten incredibly crazy. It's very affordable to do it that way, but you've got to pay it all up front. You've got to have a space to store it. But over COVID, people were home way more. So they were eating at home. They were told they couldn't go anywhere. Yep. Are we allowed to say the word COVID on YouTube?
I don't know.
I don't really care if they.
I told you about the 30-round mags.
Right. Yeah. No. Speaking of which, Mark said he wouldn't come on the podcast.
So that's not what I said. I was trying to keep you out of hot water with YouTube.
Yeah. YouTube doesn't like 30-round magazines, and we had some in the background here, and Mark gave us a heads up. No, it's people don't know that during COVID and during the crazy times, people were told they had to stay home, and some of them listened, and they ate way more, and meat disappeared at the grocery store along with toilet paper and all the other crazy essentials.
Everything on the shelves disappeared, and the people got bigger.
Yes. It's actually
more of us. There's the same number of, I won't go down that road.
9 months later, there was a lot more of us. Yes. Yeah, you were home for 6 months. Yeah. It's crazy. We had another baby boom.
I know there's more of me. Does that count?
Yes. Me too, Mark. My wife and I were talking today. There's never a good time to try to get better in shape or lose weight, except for right now.
Yep.
Right now is the time, because in November you're like, I got Thanksgiving come up, so I can't start this diet thing or whatever. But right now,
in January 1st, I refuse to do anything in January.
Yeah,
because I'm not that guy. I've never been the guy I don't want to be that bandwagon guy. So I feel like if I start in January, no, I can start tomorrow or whatever, February 1st, but January,
because it's just a fad. It's just my New Year's resolution, and I'm
so stubborn about it too. It's ridiculous.
But right now, right now, today, because it's Monday, so that's I do keto to try to stay a little bit lighter and in shape. And right now is the time to do it. And I know keto is half the reason you and I can never like have a beer or whiskey and stuff like that, because
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't drink except for fresh water. Remember, I'm a homesteader.
Water, that's right. Boiled in your jet boil first.
Spring water.
But yeah, now, because there's nothing from now until summer. Even Easter, because I don't care about Easter meal so much. Yes, I can just get skinnier. I won't, but I could.
You could.
Anyways, I have a question. I'm going to completely segue out of this.
Yeah. And I have a rant then. A legitimate rant.
I like rants. This is a question I've asked every guest, and since you're going to be a host, I have to ask you.
Host? I don't know if you put that to me already. I just thought I was going to be in here once in a while, but a host. Yeah, okay. Should I get a card?
Yes.
Like I already have like business cards, but I think this one is the one that rules them all. It'll just be the Crossed Rifles host card.
Just a black card with white letters that says podcast.
Can it be metal?
Absolutely.
Oh, I feel special. Only if you pay for it though.
Oh, well. Okay. Never mind. I changed my mind. What if you were limited to one firearm? Because this is, again, it's a firearms related.
I'm already done.
You are?
Yeah. Remington 870 12 gauge express with a 3.5 inch chamber.
This is why you're a host, because we have not heard that one yet.
I know. And I have one that I got. So my first gun, parents, don't do this to your kid.
Was it a 12 gauge 3.5 inch? Tell me it was.
No. It wasn't that. It was almost as bad. So everybody's like, I don't want to spend too much on my kid's first gun. And we come from like a rural community where hunting is king. Like we're not shooters for the most part. Because of what you were doing, like we're starting to, when you get the range done, like I see it blossoming.
Sure.
But 25 years ago or whatever, I don't know, 20 years ago, however long it's been.
30.
I'm not that old.
I am.
Let's say 25. 25 years. You're not that much older than me, I don't think. The only reason to have a firearm when we were kids, for the most part, I mean, there was still like it was kind of odd to know somebody.
Outside of 22 plinking.
No, I'm just saying, well,
yeah,
just here in the William, even kind of outside of
You're right.
22 plinking, like
people didn't have ARs, they didn't have handguns.
Correct.
100%.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you grew up in a household with a handgun and you let it slip, like you
guys were crazy.
There were some people that would just look at you like,
Michigan militia.
Your dad has what?
I
can remember my dad had a Colt 357. I prayed it was a snake gun. It's not a snake. It's a patrolman. I was so I didn't know about it until I was like older, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he has an original Python. I was going to repossess it because I do appreciate finer guns now. And anyways, if you let that slip, I can remember like families being like, what? What do you need a pistol for? Kind of like 10 years ago, people would be like, what do you need a black gun for? Like, it's slowly getting it more into mainstream.
I forget that we're on a podcast. I'm nodding my head up and down. Yeah 100%.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, I had a friend, his dad was a cop. And that's where we were introduced to pistols.
Yeah.
We didn't have handguns in the house.
Yeah.
I think my dad had like a .32 revolver that was handed down, just a piece of shit.
Something like
special type thing, a throwaway gun that nobody ever shot. I never saw it.
Yeah.
But we had a 410, we had a 12 gauge, we had a 22.
Yep. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. That's all you needed.
And so
they were tools.
Yeah. And I think this comes back to me. Like if I had one, without a doubt, it would be the 870. I don't have to worry about jamming. And getting back to it, here's don't make this mistake. My first gun was an H&R, 12 gauge topper, 3-inch.
Yes.
If you want to give your family, I'm going to look at the camera. If you want to give your child scarring memories and potentially ruin him for life to the point where he will never pick up another gun,
buy them one of those.
Buy him an H&R.
And to this day, you're in your 30s and you're like, why does my shoulder hurt so bad?
I mean, I did my damage with that thing.
Yeah.
That was a good rabbit gun and stuff, but like looking back, no. But that's how it was back then. Like you got a single shot, so you didn't waste ammo. It was like 30 cents a box. We didn't want to waste ammo, so you got a single shot. And then once you became proficient, you might be able to get a pump.
Yeah.
So I got my pump probably when I was, 12, 13, bought it with my own cash, got the rifled barrel and the 26-inch smooth bore. It's got the adjustable or screw-in chokes in Ohio.
Do you still have it?
I do.
Yeah.
And you will laugh. I have not found an auto shotgun that I can put up with yet. I keep buying more and more expensive ones, and they get thrown out of the blind.
Yeah.
Like, I can't find the right one. I know it's out there. Eventually I'll find it. But as far as reliability and ease, that's the one.
It's interesting because there's a caveat. I'm going to back up a little bit. There's a caveat to the nobody had pistols and handguns. A lot of people had 22 pistols. I remember those being pretty popular.
They had the H&R. You remember the breakover one with the star?
And the Ruger Marks. Those were the three that you would see.
Yeah.
And my
single sixes.
Single sixes.
That's what my dad had.
I forgot about those.
Single sixes.
They're out again. It's the new.
Yeah. Well, I got
everything with Rugers.
I walked on to I was invited to try out for the Ohio State pistol team. Mm-hmm. Never really shot a pistol other than the single six.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Walked on, was invited. It never stuck because I had other things that, like academics that I was really worried about when I was at Ohio State. So I didn't have the time for it. But single six is what I learned on.
I feel like we need to keep a pair of glasses on anytime you say something like you put them on and push the glasses up. Like I was worried about my academics. My first gun ever given to me, I was 12, was a 22 pistol. It was a Marc series. I can't figure out. I don't have
that stupid round bull barrel.
No, mine had the tapered barrel. My dad had a bull barrel one.
Okay.
No, this is getting into the weeds a little bit about my family, but I grew up on a farm, and the guy I called dad was a farmer his whole life. But I had a different dad, and he was the one that gave me the pistol. Not a farmer at all.
Yeah.
Just not probably shouldn't have even lived as rural as he did. He was more Bay City, Michigan, lived in the city growing up.
Yeah.
And he had a bull barrel one, so he got me the tapered barrel one when I was 12. And I enjoyed the hell out of that gun. And my second gun was an auto 12 gauge.
Okay. Which one?
It was the Ted Williams Sears and Roebuck edition. Yeah. It actually... I really enjoyed that gun. I don't have either of them anymore because I'm that guy that falls into the category of I needed a little bit of money at some point or whatever. And I wasn't super emotionally attached to either of those. But I don't have either of those anymore. But the Marc series is a great first pistol. The Ted Williams Sears and Roebuck edition, maybe not. Yeah. I don't know that I would stick a kid with that either.
Yeah.
You learn how to clear a malfunction in an automatic shotgun pretty quickly. But I learned on a single shot H&R 410, which is way better than a single shot for a 12 gauge topper.
Yeah.
But okay, so we've got your one firearm.
It has a name too.
Oh, good Lord. What is it?
In the circles I run, she is known, and she is a female.
She is, yes.
Meat hook.
Meat hook.
Meat hook.
I've had meat hook for 20 years. Okay, the next question that we ask everybody. I had to write them on the board so I wouldn't forget. What do you CCW?
It depends on the day.
That's a great answer because that's also my answer. But if I had to look at you and I said, what is your concealed carry gun?
I'm running a Hellcat right now.
Okay.
I think it's a Hellcat Pro. I'm not sure, but a Hellcat.
I've got my 365. I can still carry a Glock 19. I think just as much, if not more, than my 365.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't consider it a concealed carry gun. If you told me I was gonna go a place and I absolutely had to conceal, it'd be the 365. Yeah. That's why I asked that question.
I like that Hellcat right now. For whatever reason, I can do everything with the other ones up close. Long range, it just fits my body. Like 50 yards,
so I
can shoot
amazing gun
very well.
Yeah.
For long range, which is never going to happen in a CCW situation. It's just in the back of my mind. I'm like, if I had to.
You still want to have the skills at long range. That means you're just better at short.
Yeah.
And we say it'll never happen, but look at the mall in Indianapolis.
Yeah. That kid.
I don't remember what it is because
it was like
you put like 19 shots on at 42 yards or something.
under stress.
Yes.
In a bad situation, people had to be around, and he just posts up and basically, from what I read, like freehands this guy at 40 plus yards and puts all but like 13
out of 15.
Like it was just a mag dump.
Yeah.
You know, if you watch donut operator, you know, he dumps on them.
Yep.
Like those cops are, when you see that, they're dumping.
Yeah.
This kid was dumping. And at 40 yards, it was just like, I'd like some Swiss cheese, please.
Right. So those are the two questions. What do you conceal carry and any one firearm? We've been in here longer. This is how it always works with this
I got
podcast,
a rant,
by the way.
I have to rant.
Oh, yeah. Tell me your rant. I'm interested.
Then you can kick me out of here.
Yeah.
So, for those of you that know my family at all, my father has been here since 1946. January 10th, 1946, to be exact. And for
Happy belated birthday, Mark's father.
Yeah, I did remember. It was late. It was like 10.
I forget my dad's birthday every year, but anyways.
Yeah, but anyways, he was known. He worked for the local electric company, and he was known. And to this day, he's been retired for like probably 7-8 years now. To this day, I can go around and everybody knew him because he worked for them for legit like 50 years. It was like 50 years on the nose. And he always wore a cowboy hat. So, like, and people would kind of give him a hard time about it. Because there's another guy that I'm going to give some props to. Sean Clark.
Sean Clark
wears a cowboy hat.
He rocks that cowboy hat.
Legit wears the cowboy hat. Like, my dad started, and I can remember when Sean came into the show barns at Williams County Junior Fair years ago, and he started. I don't know if he had started, but it was the first time that I was aware of him. And this is probably 30 years ago. And I was like, okay. Somebody's copying Dwayne.
Copying Dad.
Yeah.
Well, but we got to point out for the people that aren't from here, because we just talked about hunting mushrooms, homesteading. People here don't wear cowboy hats.
We're Midwest. We're like skull cans and baseball hats.
Shit kicker boots, but they're not cowboy boots.
They steel toes.
Yes.
Yep.
So continue. So your dad was the outlier.
Yeah.
He was like the one dude in Williams County in the 80s.
It didn't matter what you know, and people liked him, still like him. Like he's like. I get a lot of my hunting permission off of my dad's coattails. Props to you, because without my dad having like build up like a honest name for himself, it'd been a lot harder for me to become successful as a hunter. And just because people would have just thought I was this stupid kid, but I'd be like, well, do you know Dwayne Pujo? And I hope to uphold his standards, you know.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I'm not taking that for granted. Anyways, so when I was in high school, I was a weirdo. I wore a cowboy hat, didn't care what you said, and I got a lot of it. Cowboy boots, which I wore pretty heavy until about a year ago, and I'm on my feet a lot, so it's hard. It was hard for me to find the right cowboy boot, but I still wear them back at on the farm and stuff. And didn't care what people said. I was just that person. I don't wear a cowboy hat much anymore. Anyways.
Are we about to rant about Yellowstone?
Oh, buddy.
Is that what's happening?
I walked into church. Look at me. I'm getting animated.
Keep that thing far away. You're getting loud.
I walked into church yesterday. And one of my buddies, longtime buddy, walks up and looks like Rip from Yellowstone. And I'm like, what in the haberdashery? Because we're in church. I can't tell him what I really think. So what in the haberdashery? And I looked at Kristen and she held my arm and she goes, don't.
Your wife knows you so well.
And it's Ryan. I don't know if you know Ryan, but Ryan, am I allowed to say full names on here?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
Because somebody's going to text him and give him
Tyler's going to tell him because Tyler and him are tight.
Tyler listens to this
too. Anyways, he walks up and legit looks like Rip. And side note, Ryan, it did look good. Like, you don't look like a jackass. You did a good job of picking what you're going to wear. Props to you and props to all these bandwagon jumpers.
Dude.
That do it. But don't act like it was yours. You are last decade's Sons of Anarchy.
I was just going to say Sons of Anarchy.
You know, most of these people, and Ryan, I know you were one. You were the ones that saw Sons of Anarchy and put on the black and orange and stomped around and acted like you were tough when Sons of Anarchy was hot. Well, now it's gone, and you had a couple years in the dark. I mean, you couldn't dress up Lord of the Rings or anything like that. Or what's the show?
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. You couldn't dress up.
Didn't fit.
You know, with your House Targaryen on. But now you've got yourself a banner to live under. And I'm telling you, like, you guys look good, but it ain't yours.
Hey, wait until NRA. Wait, so you're going to be at NRA annual meetings, and here's how I know, because I just came from SHOT Show, and it's the same crowd. You want to know how many freaking cowboy hats I saw at SHOT Show? Well, and every time I was just like, that dude was guaranteed not wearing a cowboy hat last year. I went through a phase. I tried cowboy hats for a while. Yeah. I think a lot of, because again, we're Midwestern rednecks. We don't wear cowboy boots and cowboy hats, but all of us have wanted to.
Yeah.
And we grew up in the same culture. We just didn't have the hats.
And wearing a cowboy hat takes a little effort.
It does.
It's not just throw it on and you get it in the truck. Like people that don't wear them, like baseball cap, you throw it on, you get in the truck, it's fine, or car, whatever you drive, it's fine. Cowboy hat has to come off. And if you have a good one, and I guarantee most of these Sons of Guns don't have good ones.
The cheaper
they're like 4Xs.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a 10X or above,
nobody's buying a Stetson.
You don't put it flat down. You have to have it upside down. So you have to have a place to put it. And if you don't have a place to put it, it starts flattening the bill, and then you have to get it reshaped. It's a whole issue. So you either do that or put it up. They have these nice little straps.
I know a little bit about wearing cool hats.
Easy Smoky.
That's a Stetson right there, right? And that's the thing though. Like it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You have same as a cowboy hat because it's a similar size and a wear.
Yep.
You got to break this thing in.
Yeah.
And you can't. So I'm showing my drill sergeant hat right now for all those of you listening. You can't just use the issued one.
Yeah.
You better buy a Stetson because you're going to wear this thing all the time.
Yep.
And if you don't buy a good one, you're going to get a headache. Like there's some shit that goes on. So yeah, everybody's just buying Real King.
And they're all Real King wool. They don't even know that there's beaver in the good ones. Anyways, that's my rant. It's just be yourself. You do you, and quit worrying about everybody else. Like if you want to wear a cowboy hat, wear a cowboy hat. But when I know people for my entire adult and childhood life that just broke it out in the last, and I'm going to say year and a half. If you didn't wear one within the last year and a half, I know for a fact you're not going to have it on in another year and a half. You're looking at your time. So
no. I'm going to find the picture of me in a cowboy hat so that you can make fun of me real quick while we're still on the podcast.
No, but that's all it is. It's the Anarchy guys that didn't have their have a banner to be under for a short period, and now all those Anarchy guys are like, yeah, this is it. This is me.
I have I can't find it. I have a profile picture somewhere. And I lived in Nashville with my wife for about 4.5 years. When we were dating, we actually got married when we were living in Nashville. And I bought some cowboy boots. And now, understanding, like, you can't find good cowboy boots on 2nd Street and 2nd Ave in Nashville. No. Like, that's not where you find good.
You're not going to find yourself a set of Lucchese's.
No. Yeah. If I remember correctly, the deal is buy one, get 2 free pair. Right. But I bought a pair of cowboy boots and I tried to rock those, and I enjoy the look, but they weren't comfortable. And I have a picture. I absolutely hate this picture. We were at, whatever Nashville calls their country fest. It's CMAs.
CMAs, yeah. I've been to it, yeah.
So we used to go every year, and it's an awesome time downtown.
It's all downtown.
It's all downtown. And I had wore around a straw type blackened cowboy hat, like a
Jason Aldean.
Jason Aldean was popular at the time, and Clint Black had one that he wore in some videos instead of his standard black one. And so I had one of those, and it's one of my wife's absolutely favorite pictures of me.
And you hate it.
I hate it. I look like such a follower dweeb wearing that damn hat. And I know now, this was 13 years ago, walking around downtown Nashville. Everybody was like, look at that dumbass.
No, everybody does it down there, though.
Everybody does it.
So you're not the dumbass.
There was 200 other people that had one on, so I don't feel too bad.
That bought it that day from that shop.
Same place. Yeah, same damn ad. Anyways, that's a perfect place to end it. I will, at the end of this YouTube video, if you guys want to see a picture of me wearing the dumbass cowboy hat, I will get it to Dave. Dave's going to put it at the end of this video right after I'm done talking. One of the things that I am interested in hearing from people now that we've got Marc, the number one host of this podcast. Now that we've got Marc, I want to hear some comments about what you guys want to hear about. Marc's got a really interesting life. We touched on some of it. We touched on homesteading and preparedness and all those other things. It's going to be a little bit bigger theme in the Cross Rifles podcast, not just because of Marc, but it's something that we've been talking about here locally. Just some of the guys here at the shop, we have some information. So in the comments on the YouTube video, of course, like and share and subscribe.
You got to hit the bell. You got to hit the bell.
Got to hit the bell. Yeah. What is it? Ding that bell. I don't know. My kids watch YouTube.
Make sure you stay subscribed because YouTube's been like ghosting.
Oh, they'll just get rid of it.
They've been ghosting some people. So
if you like the content, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Go like us on YouTube, and we put out some other cool videos. But anyways, comment on what you would like us to talk about, and we will talk about it, whether we know anything about it
unless we know you.
Oh, yeah. No, we're not going to listen to people. Bishop. We're not going to do anything that Bishop says, but otherwise, he's going to be in the comments talking shit now. He usually is. So that's it. That's where I'm going to end this. Stay tuned in about 5 seconds to see a video of me in a cowboy hat, and thanks for listening as always. Thanks,
Toodaloo.
guys.